All right. Well, welcome to Buddha Dasa. Program organized by Sangchen Norbul Ling, Sakyapa Center based in Spain, for the sake of the liberation of all sentient beings. Please generate proper motivation. As we know, no matter what we do, motivation is supreme. Motivation is what decides whether something is right or not. Motivation decides whether something is beneficial or not. So in Dharma, in Buddha Dharma, motivation becomes the most important thing. Now, here, motivation should be to follow the footsteps of the Buddha. Motivation should be to protect sentient beings. Motivation should be to be able to hold Buddha Dharma, to be able to be basically become useful, beneficial for the longevity of Dharma. Motivation should be to be able to extract the meaning from these noble scriptures so that we can bring transformation of our mind. And not just mind, with mind, transformation of our conduct, our body and speech. Sometimes you have people who claim to be doing lojong, training their mind. Yet we do not pay so much attention to our behavior. And this comes with the claim that I am more interested in transforming my mind rather than behaving. So that is also a sort of a downfall. So here the motivation is to truly embody the teaching, the courage, the compassion, wisdom and vision, aspiration, purification and accumulation of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You should have lofty motivation. Your motivation should be ridiculous. Your motivation should be so lofty that it's embarrassing to say it out loud. Should be like that. Your motivation should be for the sake of the liberation of all sentient beings. I will gain full awakening. I will become Buddha. What can be more lofty than that? While being completely filled with anger, jealousy, all the emotions that make you feel filthy, while being utterly selfish, self-serving, obsessed. Motivation should be to liberate all beings like that. I'm really serious. Motivation should never be based on what we are right now. Motivation should be based upon what is possible, what can be done. In this regard, those who have attended last year, at the beginning, we do Buddha Anusmriti. Buddha Anusmriti meaning recollection of the Buddha. A moment of recollection of the Buddha as one's teacher, as someone who shows the path. The benefit of that one moment, if we are to contemplate, like seriously contemplate, it will be very difficult for many of us to actually believe it. Siddhartha Gautama says things like, in future when sons and daughters of noble family who will, I'm trying to see the face of Buddha here. Sons and daughters of noble family who will place their mind upon my body, speech, and mind, or my image. At that time, my wisdom and their mind become one, inseparable. It's difficult to believe. It's really difficult to believe. Or to believe future time when sons and daughters of noble family will contemplate upon even just one aspect of the Buddha, like Buddha's eyebrows, Buddha's nose, Buddha's hands, or a complete aspects of Buddha's form, where the Buddha is sitting, standing, lying down, walking, speaking, not speaking, or in meditation, like any of Buddha's forms. Hundreds and thousands lifetimes of negative karma is purified. It's difficult to believe that. We don't believe that because it's too easy. Believing in one's own mind is the most difficult thing to do because there is no consensus here. It's just you, only you know your mind. Without consensus, we don't know what to do. So we panic and we believe everything else but the mind and the strength of the mind. Because the other things, we can have consensus. So please try to sit straight and put your mind upon Buddha Shakyamuni, Siddhartha Gautama, seated under the Bodhi tree on a seat made of kusha grass, seat made of grass, with his right hand touching the ground and left hand in meditation. Exactly like this. This is supposed to be him sitting under a tree. Tibetans don't paint realistically. But anyway. So his eyes fixed on you. When you think like that, here in front of you is the Buddha, right in front. To be in front of fully awakened being, what joy rushes through one's being. Excitement, devotion, awe. That's the meditation. You just look at the Buddha, Buddha's face, hands, robe, like that, parts of his body, or general image of the Buddha. And if it is not clear. Initially, you can use like a painting like this. So you see that painting in your mind because you cannot imagine the person, or like a statue. Everything is fine. However, you visualize. You visualize the Buddha in front of you. Buddha Dasa means servant of Buddha. So please try and sit straight and contemplate. Thank you very much. How many hours is there in a day? How many weeks in a year? How many years in a lifetime? So it's difficult to believe that such momentary contemplation can remove negative karma of many, many weeks, many, many years, many, many lifetimes. In many cases, that's the only difference between us and an awakened being. An awakened being has no doubt, and so is awakened. My daughters are with me today, so they're going to go in and out. The text that we have chosen is Letter to a Friend, composed by Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, one of the greatest teacher of India. I was reading Wikipedia entry about Nagarjuna, and they're so confused. The person or people who tried to put it in Wikipedia try to approach it very scientifically. When is he born? How long did he live? symbol of a weakened person. Nagarjuna was like that. So this, we're talking about somebody like this. So I understand. I sympathize. When you want everything to fit your narration and your culture and your way of thinking. I wonder if ants watch us, if they talk to each other about us, if they decide what we are, what we do, what we like, we don't like, what is the meaning of us? What do they even call us? It's kind of like that. A logician trying to understand Nagarjuna. Even more bigger than that, the difference. Wisdom and mind, or wisdom and intelligence, that's the difference. Here, wisdom, the word wisdom that we use, it refers to a direct seeing. It is the translation of Tokpa or Yeshe. The English term wisdom itself can mean knowledge, can mean a knowledge that is acquired through experience and knowing how to use that as a tool, I guess. But in the Buddhist term, sort of Buddhist connotation, idea of wisdom is not knowledge. It's seeing directly, the ultimate. So, Nagarjuna led a very long life, very, very long life. And so he did so much. He had done so much. Before Nagarjuna appeared, there was Mahayana, but not really so prevalent. And the Sravaka tradition was the one that was really spreading in general sort of human perception. Now we only have one Sravaka tradition left, that is Theravada. But even that one tradition you can see is spread in Sri Lanka, Burma, Laos, Cambodia. I think all of these are coming from only one tradition. Anyway, the Sravaka tradition spread into four, and these four became spread into more and more until you had 18 different traditions. The Hinayana, what is known as Hinayana, or the Sravaka tradition. So Mahayana was not really well known. Mahayana, anyway, in its inception, in its how when Mahayana was taught, it was taught more for the great bodhisattvas rather than ordinary human beings. And yeah, so in a human realm, it wasn't, of course, there was Mahayana, obviously, but not that, I guess, openly prevalent. So when Nagarjuna appeared, and you can read his biography that he was born to a Brahmin family, and at the age of 7 he become a novice monk, because his parents, when Nagarjuna was born, they received a sort of as do these days, we look at astrology, right? So the astrologer said like that in 7 days. So the parents believed that, so they couldn't bear Nagarjuna away. And he met Hula. Great. He received the initiation of use, I think, and then he practiced. And night of that 7th day, he stayed up whole night reciting the mantras, and he survived. And then he sort of, as a sign that he has accomplished the practice of Amita use. From these teachers, he received so many teachings, and also he received his vows. So he becomes a monk. And he goes to Nalanda. Nagarjuna became one of the most important teachers there, but not easily. Initially, he was made as a Shaltava. What is Shaltava? Like a manager. He had to make sure that monks have food, like that, So he was, and once when he was a manager, there was a famine. There came a big famine in where Nalanda was. Nagarjuna had seen in secret an alchemist turning an ordinary metal into gold. And he had learned that. And during the time of famine and great poverty, Nagarjuna supposedly produced a lot of gold without people knowing where did he get those. And then he bought food and sustenance from faraway lands. So the monks did not suffer during the rain retreat. So during rain retreat, the monks stay in the temple. They do not go out. After the rain retreat, they found out that the whole kingdom is having famine. Great poverty have spread because the food was abundant when they were in their retreat. And then they understood how Nagarjuna had transformed metal into gold, and brought this. And so it was considered, what do you call it, immoral way of living, immoral way of attaining food for the monks. And also, so they kicked him out. From there, then Nagarjuna's activities spread everywhere. He travels everywhere. This text was written for the benefit of a king, his friend, his student. It is said that when Nagarjuna was on his way to one of the great continents of this earth, like according to Buddhist cosmology, this is the earth, and in the center of the earth is supposedly Bodh Gaya. But then there are supposedly other two, so this is the biggest continent, and then there are other two smaller continents. So anyway, on his way to one of those, on the way he meets this young boy playing with the sand. And Nagarjuna looks at this boy's hand and sees that he has the merit to become a great king. So Nagarjuna blesses this boy and accepts him as his student. So later, when this boy becomes a great king, he becomes Nagarjuna's student. Nagarjuna became his teacher. This also helped spread the Mahayana teaching a lot. And it was rumored that because Nagarjuna had accomplished Amitayus and would basically live long time, this king also began living for a long time. So much so that one son of the king, when somebody offered him a beautiful brocade, silk brocade, or silk piece of cloth, I think, very expensive. And so he tells his mother to keep it aside for his enthronement. When he becomes the king, he wants to wear it. So then the mother tells him, oh, that might never happen. Many sons have been born and died because your father just won't die. He lived for a long time. And then the son gets very furious and asks, what is the reason? So she says, the reason is because he is protected and blessed by Nagarjuna, his friend, his teacher. So the son really gets depressed, thinking that what kind of prince I am, I will never be a king. Nagarjuna is a bodhisattva, and he must give. And the boy goes to Nagarjuna, requesting his head. And Nagarjuna saw that in one of his past lives, he was cutting grass and he had killed some insects while cutting the grass. That karma is now ripening. So it is said that the prince tried to cut his head with all kinds of weapons and nothing worked. And then Nagarjuna said, how about you bring this specific grass, kusha grass, that will work. And supposedly, I love this story because it is in a way ridiculous. The prince could cut Nagarjuna's head with a blade of grass. Anyway, till by then he had already lived a long life. Nagarjuna have composed, his writing spreads everywhere. There are folk tales about Nagarjuna and this king actually. This is considered, some consider it real, some consider it to be a myth. It's just a story that Nagarjuna wrote, where Nagarjuna sends this king, who was his student, to go alone in the channel grounds and to catch a zombie, Rolang. And the thing is that you can catch the zombie. You have to bring the zombie. So he catch the zombie and tie it to himself and on his back, and he bring it. Zombie likes to hang out near this particular tree. So he has to climb this tree because the zombie is always sitting on the tree somewhere. And he catches the zombie. But now the thing is that the zombie agrees to come if you do not speak a one word. The moment you speak, zombie is gone. Zombie or Rolang is like a dead body that is animated again, possessed. So the king tries every night to do that. This has to do with tantric practices, where you need zombies. I don't know why I'm. Anyway, and every night the zombie. You should read this book. It's very beautiful stories. So the zombie tells the king beautiful stories every night. Quite things that are so that makes you think. It's beautiful. And then the zombie asks the king, why is it like that? What do you think? And the king is a wise man. So he forgets, he's thinking and thinking, and he says, I think it's because this and this and this and that. And zombie says, excellent answer. that is so popular in India, Vikram Betal, is everywhere in India. Everybody knows Vikram Betal, supposedly composed by Nagarjuna. Then in medicine, he was really well known. He wrote many commentaries, texts about medicine. Basically, there's nothing that Nagarjuna did not touch and master. Sutra, Tantra, everything. Now, most importantly, Nagarjuna started this tradition of understanding emptiness purely based on logic and reasoning. And he wrote this text, Mula Madhyamika Karika, the root verses of the middle path, and many others that started the Madhyamika tradition. This kind of text is considered to be Madhyamika text, but more on the conduct of a Madhyamika practitioner, and moreover, conduct of a lay practitioner. How should a lay practitioner be? So, since we are at the Sakyapa Center, I'm going to refer to Sakyapa Master's commentary, Kunchin Rongtun, the omniscient Rongtun. Believed to be the reincarnation of Kamalashila. Omniscient Rongtun, I think he started the Nalanda school in Tibet. It was called Nalanda because only in Nalanda in India, there were 10,000 monks studying. And in his monastery, there were 10,000 monks studying. So it was similar to Nalanda. When he was alive, it was so popular. During that time, almost all the great teachers went to study with him. Most importantly, Sakyapa masters, Pinchen, Shaja Chogden, and Omniscient Korampa. All of these are Kunchen Rongtun's, Omniscient Rongtun's students. Shibiti Yuzos. Nagarjuna's letter to King Gautami Putra. Jagarketu. Surhita Lekha. Peki the Shibiti. That's what it means. Letter to a king. Sorry, a letter to a friend. Jambal Chunujubala Chancellor. Yunde Ranshin Gay Tagini. They were shaped by Sunni Lejung with Sonam Dunlip Papi Yang did the Chungse Chik the Chechi. Sempe Rix. I am reading the translation, I think, of Geshil Hakdur. Geshil Hakdurla worked as a translator for his Dalai Lama for many, many years. And then he worked as, I think, the director of Tibetan Library of Literature and Arts in Dharamsala for many years. It is fitting that you who is worthy of virtuous nature of good qualities, hear these few Arya verses which I have composed so that you may aspire to the merit which comes from the Sugata's teaching. So he addresses the king by calling him Yunten Rangshin Geu, which means one, you who is worthy of virtue, you who is worthy of good qualities. So as a praise to the king. So it can mean you already have a lot of qualities. So this king, the student, the friend of Nagarjuna, was also a Dharma king. So in that regard, he had a lot of qualities. So Nagarjuna was also being respectful to his own student. Yunten Rangshin gives darkness. I will speak briefly from the teachings of the Sugata, Devarshakpa. Sugata meaning one who lived blissfully. Sugata, one who went blissfully, went from samsara blissfully, from nirvana blissfully, like that. So the Buddha. So Sugata, I am going to explain briefly the teachings of the Sugata, what the Buddha, name of Buddha, what he taught. Why? For what reason? I'm writing this very brief teaching of the Buddha, a brief teaching coming from the Buddha, so that sonam dunle, so that others will have motivation to accumulate merit, to do the right thing, have the intention or liking sonam, for sonam, for merit or for dharma, basically dharma. So sonam dule pape yang didas, chungse chikdips. So the beautiful melodious tones of the Buddha, I am going to sort of write very briefly so that you, king, or others, can get inspiration from this and follow the Buddha Dharma, practice the Dharma. So it is proper that you listen to it. Sempe Rix. By the way, if you, the new ones, if you wish, I'm sure you can ask for the recording of the last year's teachings. Last year we went through the biography of the Buddha's life, and also 37 practices of Bodhisattva. So you can ask the center. I'm sure they have the recording. Then, that being said, so Nagarjuna is writing to a great king, a well-known king. And the first stanza sounds a bit boastful, a little bit, not boastful, but might sound boastful to somebody, saying, hey, it's proper that you listen to it, you listen to what I'm writing. And so there comes the next stanza, where he says, Jitar deshek kuzuk shing lechang, gipa chindang rungde kepe che, deshin tagi nyanga dingen yang, tamche jola tenle memijis. Just as an image of the Sugata, be it made of wood or whatever, it is worshipped by wise men. It is worshipped by the wise. Likewise, though my poetry is poor, do not despise it, since it is based upon the teaching. Based upon a discussion of the holy Dharma. There are two translations of this that the center has. The English translation, please send both to people so they can compare and get a better sense of what is the Tibetan or the Sanskrit is trying to say, Nagarjuna is trying to say. There's sometimes one translation gets some things right and the other translation get other things right. It's good to have both of them. Now you are really studying a scripture, like proper, this kind of text is a real text, so to speak. So here he says, in all humility, Nagarjuna is saying, just as a statue of the Buddha, we worship all statues of Buddha, regardless of what it is made out of. There is no object that there is no material that is not allowed, so to speak. You can make statue of Buddha out of anything. Once it is made, you respect that, not due to the material. It's not like we only respect statues of the Buddha. Actually, this happens. I myself have noticed that. Statues made with metal, I respect, or stone, but not the statues made with wax in the supermarkets, in German supermarket. There's always some statues of Buddha, garden ornaments made of clay, or cheap clay, or some even plastic. I don't respect it so much, and I really had to think, wow, this is, the material really matters. we are materialistic people. So Nagarjuna says, if you respect Buddha, you respect all of these statues. These are all images of Buddha. Similarly, although although my writing, my poem, like this is like a poem, my poem is terrible. Is bad quality, not really, like written by a great scholar, but a mediocre scholar like myself. So he's being humble. Nagarjuna calling himself and his writing terrible, like mediocre. But he says, but since it is based upon the teaching of the Buddha, you should respect it. It demands respect. Tuba chembe kani mengushi chuji tukso taya chumeji dotaleji gunde wechi ni chekar nitu chite miji las. However much of the great sage's words you may have listened to and may have even comprehended, still is not a white painted mansion made more white by the midnight moon. Now the king himself, being student of Nagarjuna, must have heard a lot of teachings from Nagarjuna and from many others. So this is what he's saying, that I'm sure you have heard many beautiful teachings coming from the Buddha, and you have vast knowledge of Buddha's teachings. But he's saying, although you can have a beautiful house made of dothal, is like Here is white painted total. Let me check what is total. It means white stone, or it can also means white earth for whitewash. I think whitewash, white painted, right? Whitewash. So if a house is painted white, it's beautiful. But Nagarjuna says it looks more beautiful during a full moon night. During full moon, Gungde waiting is during full moon night. The chekarnitus, the whiteness shines even brighter, more beautiful because it's dark, and the other colors do not shine as much as the white in the full moon. I have actually experienced that in Mustang, where the earth is grayish white or whitish red, mostly grayish white. And so during full moon, I remember getting on top of the temple and the roof of the temple, and you can see from far away mountains all very clearly because of the color of the earth. And you can see the yaks on the mountain because you have these black 10, 15 black dots moving together like that. Very beautiful. So he's saying, this house is beautiful, but it looks more beautiful during full moon. Similarly, you have a lot of knowledge of Buddha's teaching, but of course, the more you learn, better your wisdom becomes, your knowledge becomes. Jawe sange chodan gendun tangs, tongdang sudim lachi temper tuk, rabdu kazal teda soso yuntin tsogi jesu temper gis. The Buddha has well taught the 6 recollections. The enlightened one is teaching the Sangha, discipline or morality here, giving and gods. The heap of qualities of each of these should be remembered. Now, recollection, the 6th recollection. The 6th recollection is taught in order to generate devotion, in order to generate merit for protection. From the 6, the most important ones that we know is recollection of Buddha, recollection of Dharma, recollection of Sangha. Recollection here, anusmriti, to remember, to think of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to meditate upon these 7, or the qualities of these for these 6. Now Rongten, the great Rongten, he wrote, did there sangi chumden de tene de jinche bada jumbo yanda bozo be sangi rikpa da chupso demba devreshe ba jiden kemba kiu duwe kalo jurwa lana me balata minem jiten ba sangi chumden deso shi chawa tabruos. Buddha, what is Buddha? Chibu said, thinking about, so recollection of the Buddha is remembering, meditating, contemplating upon the qualities of the Buddha. Basically, you're thinking Buddha is like that, Buddha is like that, this and that. Buddha's face is like this, hand is like this, robe is like this. Buddha must have walked like that. Buddha sat here, then Buddha went there, like that, the biographies. And Buddha said this, Buddha gave this teaching here and there to such and such person, and then this and that happened, the basically the speech of the Buddha and the mind of the Buddha, omniscient, awakened, great, compassionate, all that. In the commentaries, he quotes the beginning of the recollection of the Triple Gem, where he says, such Bhagavan Buddha is Tathagata, is Arahat, is Samyak Sambuddha. And so on. These are all now the first recollection of the Buddha that we have done a lot last year. Here is taught at the beginning. Then recollection of Dharma. So the Bhagavan have give the Dharma perfectly. Yes, so Dharma is seen perfectly. Dharma is noble Dharma is without sickness, without it never discontinues, and so on. This you can read in the Sutra of Recollection of Triple Gem, saying this because it's easy to just look it up. Gendun, and then the recollection of the Sangha. Again, if you look into the Sutra of Recollection of the Triple Gem, you will find the qualities of the Sangha. Now, if you look into the recollection of the Triple Gem coming from the Pali tradition, then it is a bit different from that of Mahayana. It is shorter, and when it comes to Sangha, it says the Sravakas of the Sravaka Sangha of the Buddha is like that. But in the Mahayana one that we use, it says the Bodhisattva Sangha of the Buddha, of the Bhagavan is like this and that and this like that. So that's the main difference. Anyway, so recollection of Buddha, recollection of Dharma, recollection of Sangha. This much we managed to do, especially in the Tibetan tradition. I think this is a unique approach of the Tibetan tradition, is that reciting refuge every day. Every practice starts with recitation of refuge, every sadhana, every sitting. And so when you recite the refuge, you are thinking of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. When you say Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, or in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. All these, you are remembering their qualities. So recollection of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha has so much value and so much merit. It keeps us grounded, it keeps it realistic, and it becomes personal. It becomes personal. You feel personally connected to them. And so the qualities actually move you. Or else, when you do not particularly think about the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, it becomes vague. And then, so yes, you meet Buddhists who do not even know the qualities of the Buddha, who do not even know what the Buddha did and said, who just follow it out of blind devotion or follow it with sheer sort of neglect of even basic inquiry about Buddha's life. So these three is object of our refuge. And so remembering them again and again is taking refuge again and again. And then the path. Now comes the path of remembering to give. Remembering to give. So this, for beginners, it is really advised, and it's for advanced, it is really, there is never a time when you should not give. You shouldn't think of it as, oh, it's a advice for beginners. But giving is something, giving is the most easy practice. Giving. Discipline. I will not do this, I will not do that. Very difficult. Patience. When somebody does something to you, oh, don't get angry, tolerate and be patient and kind. Very difficult. So all the rest of the meditation, even more difficult. Wisdom is unimaginable right now. So the giving is the easiest. Giving of a flower, one butter lamp, giving of 1 or 2, euros here and there to beggars, or what is it, buying an apple for making offering, or giving few something to your gurus in an envelope, or your Dharma brothers, sisters, whatever. That's the most easiest practice to do, and it has most tangible result. Giving. So there's so many qualities. So Buddha advised, Buddha's advice to beginners were start with giving. Not only that, Buddha advised his monks that when they're going to start teaching sort of lay practitioners, like in those days, I guess there was bigger distance and difference between educated populace and uneducated populace. So then most of the populace were uneducated in those days, like farmers, butchers, those who were working. Most of the working class was uneducated. So I guess that's not really the case nowadays. But in case of spirituality, of Dharma, I guess still very much uneducated. So you can say that. So Buddha, in those days, Buddha gave advices to the monks that when you speak with these, people who may not have so much education, but who may have a lot of devotion and trust, to first, or who may be at the beginning of dharmic practice, or who may be thinking of practicing dharma, like that, to praise giving. Because when you give, immediately you feel joy. It's very fast. Result is tangible. You see there is a smile there, you yourself feel joy. So that inspires them, that pushes people. So, and not only that, Buddha said, beings, what they first thing they want or need is material. They need food, they need drinks, they need clothes, they need place, they need friends, they need wealth. If beings are utterly poor, their mind is completely engaged in how do I get food tonight? Where do I go? Where do I go tomorrow? Where do I sleep tonight? Like that. When someone is thinking like this, you cannot go and say, hey, you should practice emptiness. It doesn't work. So Buddha says, first you need to, first beings need to be free from this extreme poverty. And then their mind can be ready to understand and practice Dharma. And so Buddha said, and this kind of wealth, these material wealth, only come from generosity. When you practice generosity, the type of merit that is produced from generosity brings wealth. So the type of merit that is produced through discipline not necessarily brings wealth. Each merit has their own activities, their own result, of course. Each seed has their own different kinds of plants that grows. Similarly like that. So the first thing was taught is to contemplate on the merit of giving, the qualities of giving. So Nagarjuna says one should remember that, and then, so yes, giving. Mostly to remove the stain of miserliness. Miserliness. That mindset is very difficult when you are miserly. Miserly, it is the kind of poverty mentality that does not leave you alone even for a moment. And each moment you are trying to think about how to save more money, how to get out of paying, how to get out of, giving anything, miserliness. So that's not conducive mindset to practice dharma. And also this kind of mindset brings suffering to oneself in this life and in next lives. Then the next one is discipline. Oh, sorry. Discipline, yes. What they, in this English, they put morality before giving, but it should be giving morality. So discipline or morality, I don't know if that's a good translation, but yes, it's discipline. Sultim. Dagi sultim ni manyamba. Tun meba, madeba, magoba, raoyo, ba keeping up the thing is the Dubai. So to think about the qualities of the discipline, Nagarjuna says one should think of that one should think about all the vast qualities of the discipline and then think that I will not let my discipline go astray, be lost. I will keep my discipline without any stain, without mixing the discipline of Sravaka path, the discipline of Mahayana, and I guess Vajrayana, like that. And also Maghopa, my discipline will be untainted. And Ramayopa, I will, Ramayopa, for example, I will stand on my own feet when it comes to discipline, especially monks and nuns. Monks and nuns have to, in India in those days, if you become a monk or a nun, for the first 5 to 10 years, you cannot live alone. And you must always live near an abbot, or your sort of nitin is that your thera. Thera is someone who guides you on your discipline, who teaches you, and so on. So an older monk or older nun, you need them. You need to live with them for the first 5 to 10 years. So then after that, you have freedom. And that's for the monks is after 10 years. I don't know how long is then for the nuns, maybe same or maybe longer. So here, Ramayopa is having freedom with the discipline. Then you have freedom, more free, and not freedom to do anything, but at least that you do not need to always be near an abbot. Keeping up with things, and it is praised by the wise being. And through discipline, you get meditation. That's important. Why discipline is important? Yes, when you're not disciplined, you accumulate negative karma. Now, those are important, yes. But the most important aspects of discipline is without discipline, meditation is not possible. That's the thing. You cannot be killing and lying and stealing and using harsh words and harming people left and right, and then meditating shamatha and vipassana for 10-15 minutes and expect the meditation to arrive. That doesn't work like that. You need to have discipline. You need to let go, stop doing all negative karmas, and then you meditate. It works. While doing all this, it doesn't work. So that discipline. Discipline gives rise to meditation. So thinking like this, you should think their qualities. And how you think the qualities of the gods. These are the gods. Sort of think. These are basically thinking about karma. Thinking about good karma. What does good karma do? Because during the time of the Buddha, there were many, many celestial beings, gods and goddesses, who were Buddha's followers, students, and who could approach the Buddha anytime, and who could make vast offerings to the Buddhas. And since due to their merit, they also may have received many qualities, realizations and so on, because they could receive teachings from the Buddha. So to be reborn as a god or goddesses may have a lot of qualities. And most importantly, for example, the four kings, Jachin Rikshi. The first heavenly realm that starts above human realm is supposedly at the top of Mount Sumeru. Mount Sumeru. It's Buddhist cosmology now. Mount Sumeru, the top of that mountain, there are four heavenly realms in four directions. And the kings of these heavenly realms are great bodhisattvas. And they have taken vow of protecting the Buddha Dharma in front of the Buddha. So when you go to the monasteries, outside the monastery walls, whether it is, Mahayana, Hinayana, or Theravada, whatever, or Japanese, Tibetan, you see these paintings of wrathful looking sort of warriors. So these are the gods, the four god kings. They are basically bodhisattvas who have taken aspiration in their past life, made prayers that when the Buddhas will appear in this world, may I appear as the protector of the Dharma, as these sort of kings of gods. So they are born like this. So they're considered very important in the Buddhist traditions. We make offerings to them, we beseech them, we remind them of their promises, and so on, like that. And also among these four gods, one Namtuse Vaishravana is also the god of wealth. So, right. Then, most importantly, to thinking about karma, that these gods, they were born with so much merit, and the merit resulted with all of this, that in an instant that they could go to receive teachings from the Buddha, request Buddha to teach, and so on. So there's so much merit. These gods, those who bring rain, they save lives. Also, in the cosmology, the sun and the moon also are actually the names of gods. And the sun you see in the sky is not really, is basically the dwelling of those gods. So that's why the place get the name from the gods that live there. So this supposedly, same goes for moon. Anyway, this may be true, maybe not true, doesn't matter. but the cosmology, the explanation is like that. Then, anyway, these six, it's interesting that you almost will not find again in other Mahayana scriptures that we study. So please remember them, because this is quite rare and unique of this text almost. Not that Buddha did not teach, Buddha have taught, but in our texts written by Indian teachers, to have this is somehow, especially with the text that remains now, this is rare. Anyway, do you have questions? I don't know. Since I would appreciate it if the questions are related to the talk and the topic. But of course, if it is coming also from general Buddha Dharma, that's also welcome, about bodhicitta and path of bodhicitta. But let's keep it to that. And also, who's going to ask the first question of this year? Esther, I knew you would come through. Where is it? I don't know. How? What is this saying?
I have a question, Master.
Okay.
Is it too late?
No. Please ask.
I wrote it, but maybe you didn't get it. I would like to have more information about devotion.
Okay. Devotion. Devotion is trust, trusting, believing. Of course, there is a difference between devotion that's more related to mind and devotion that is materialistic, trust materialistic. So simple trust in material things that we have, that is everything that we do every day. We trust whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we feel, we trust it. If I want to, and it works too. If I want, generally, if a farmer wants to farm, needs seed, will not even ask question, why do I need seed? That is the trust, 100% trust. I need the seed. I need the rain. I need water. I need soil. There is no question why, how, when. That's trust. So now when it comes to devotion, more related to mind, where that trust gets mixed with awe, gratitude, aspiration, all this getting together. Now, so you see for example, you see the qualities of the Buddha. What is this Buddha? You listen about Buddha, and it sounds very special. Very special in a very unique way. And then we look at our situation, our condition. So you see the difference. From there, and there is this basis of yearning, longing. Then devotion arises from there. Devotion arises from longing and yearning. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Anyway, this we can talk more about this as we go more into it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ask this question now. When I try to think in Buddha as a human, I see Keanu Reeves. Why not? Who knows how Buddha looks like? I don't know. Do you know? So Keanu Reeves. Recently, there's a very popular Indian TV series about Buddha.
Ah.
And he became so popular, the actor, that he went to Sri Lanka and all these places, and all the people sort of treat him like, he's very, because almost with devotion, they look at him because they see these TV shows where he plays the Buddha. He's very handsome Indian man. And why not? What's the difference of thinking of Keanu Reeves and a Nepalese statue? But I guess, for me, Keanu Reeves is, first of all, too skinny. That's my dualistic thinking. And I think of Buddha looks more Indian. I think he looked more Indian than Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. Who doesn't? But yeah, like that. I would suggest, if it doesn't disturb you, up to you. But if you think, no, I want to have more clearer image of Buddha, then the statue in Bodh Gaya, the Buddha statue in the Bodh Gaya temple, is supposed to have been sort of made very, very, very early on. So our best hope is that, so who will know how Buddha looked like? Us after thousands of years, or them, like after, I don't know, after how many years it was made. So, and it's quite believable, that statue, the way he looks, quite Indian, like with big eyes, I don't know. I really sort of have a liking to that. He was Indian, but who knows? I don't know. I think when the Tibetan saw the Buddha Shakyamuni, he looked Tibetan, I guess. That's all the Thangkas look like, Tibetan. I'm sure the Chinese masters, when they see the Buddha in front of them, looks very Chinese, or Japanese. He looks very Japanese. So it doesn't matter. But yes, if you want to be rational about it, then okay. Now, another question is, the name Nagarjuna is related to the Nagas, and why is it said that they are blind and live in the water? Name Nagarjuna is related to the Nagas, yes. But I don't know if they are blind, right? This I cannot say. I don't think they're supposed to be blind per se. Nagarjuna, this is what is said, that when Nagarjuna was giving Nagarjuna means Naga Arjuna. someone who have accomplished the Nagas like that, or mastered the Nagas. So it is said that when Nagarjuna was teaching, two young boys would show up every evening to listen to the teaching. The moment they come, sweet perfume, they have such a strong, sweet perfume that it spreads to all throughout the temple. And then when they go, the perfume is this sort of beautiful scent is gone. So Nagarjuna one day talks to these two boys. Who are you? You know, and what is this smell, this perfume that you have? So they say, oh, this is a very special sandalwood perfume that we have. It is made in a nag by Nagas. And we are Nagas, so we come here to listen to your teaching. But humans, getting close to humans is harmful for us, for our health. So to protect ourselves, we put these strong perfumes. It sort of keeps us safe. And so they invite Nagarjuna, saying, we are the sons of this Naga king. We'd like to invite you. And they lure Nagarjuna by telling him that all the Prajnaparamita sutras are kept in the world of Naga. And we are willing to give it to you if you come to teach. So Nagarjuna also wanted to build a lot of stupas. Many of the stupas built by Nagarjuna are still supposed to be there in India, even archaeologically speaking. In Bodh Gaya, those who have been to Bodh Gaya, around the Bodh Gaya, the Bodhi tree, there is a structure supposed to be built by Nagarjuna. Anyway, so he went and gave them teaching, and in return they gave him Prajnaparamita sutras. I think 12 volumes of Prajnaparamita sutras, something like that. But the last chapter they kept, so Nagarjuna will return. So we don't have the last chapter. How about that? Right, okay. I don't know why they live in water though. What is the importance of praying to Nagas? Don't pray to Nagas, please. No need. Thank you for the teachings. When you talk about the 6 memories, is it something we have to practice on the cushion in meditation, or is something we have to try to bring to our mind all the time? On the cushion and all the time. Thinking about Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Most important is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And then generosity, making offering. Making offering. I try to make offering these days. It's been 1 or 2 years, I try to make some offering. Some years ago, one of my teachers looked at me and said, make more offering. You need to start making some offering. So I've been doing that now, little bit, little by little. Yeah. What else? So, and yes, discipline. All of these 6. But most importantly, the first 3. Recollection of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That's the most important one. My question is about the deities. There are deities that are dedicated to protect Dharma, but they are in samsara. Do the deities wish to attain enlightenment, or are they manifestations of Buddhas? It depends. You mean the 6th one, the gods or the deities? Most deities that have made promise to protect the Dharma are bodhisattvas, great bodhisattvas or Buddhas. yeah. Especially to the lineage that I belong to, the Ngorpa tradition of the Sakyapa sect. Sakyapa has 3 sects. Sakyapa tradition has Sakya, Ngorpa, Tsarpa subsect. The Ngorpas people are very proud, saying all of our protectors are wisdom being. We don't have worldly wrathful beings as our protectors, like the Sakyapas or the Nyingmapas. They separate themselves from the Sakya. It's a bit ridiculous, but they have good reasons too, some good reason, because like that. So these, like the 4 kings, very important protectors. The 2 kings, the 2 Naga kings, very important sort of protectors of Dharma. Kali Devi, Mahakali, very important protectors of Dharma. Ekajati, like all of these. When talking about karma, how do we know if our actions, even though they can be understood as well-intentioned, can harm others? That is so difficult. Best thing is the best intention. And of course, you need to think. You need to think, though. We really should contemplate what and how our actions will impact others. But it's really difficult, because to really be 100% sure, you need to have some wisdom, some sort of realization. Right now, it's most like this, for example, this teaching, supposedly teaching. I don't know. Maybe I'm making you really dislike and lose interest in Dharma. How would I know? There's no way of knowing for me. The only way is I ask you questions, or you ask me questions and I answer you. Based on your question, I can sort of judge what you're thinking. Or your facial expression, I can kind of judge what you're thinking. But those are not really conclusive proof about what's happening. They are just conditions that arises together with it. So I can guess, oh, maybe it's helpful. So like, it's really like that. Okay. I think we will. Sorry about that. Then I think I will continue next time. Today is more of an introduction. What do you think, Lamala?
Lo que tú pienses.
We do what you want, Rinpoche.
What was announced as how long the sessions will be?
¿Cuán largas tienen que ser las sesiones, la mala?
Está bien, 1 hora y media a 2 horas está bien.
Between 1.5 hours and 2 hours.
Okay.
How is best for you, Rinpoche?
Okay, let's do one more stanza then, because we haven't covered much of the text.
Vale,
But
vamos
anyway,
a hacer
we
una stanza
cannot.
más.
I don't think we can go through this text very thoroughly, like one stanza by stanza, but we'll try.
No creo que podamos, sorry.
Gevi lelam chipo litang ngagi yichi takton tin gishin changnam ledok teshin gewai tsoala ngomba gebrazu. Always practice physically, verbally, and mentally the path of the 10 virtuous deeds. Refrain from alcohol and also delight in a wholesome livelihood. To practice 10 virtuous deeds is to abandon 10 non-virtuous deeds. I guess for a Dharma practitioner, if we accumulate such negative karma of killing, for example, stealing, and okay, the killing and stealing is physical negative karma. Let's say you have good reason to do that. This is of the three, this is not the worst. Now, harmful speech, getting bad, sowing discord amongst two sangha, quite bad amongst, two people, two groups, quite bad. Still, let's say you have good reason why you must do it, But the mental negative karma, napsim nesim lokta, napsim wanting to have what others have, someone else have, wanting to get it, napsim. Nesim is wanting to bring harm to someone else. And then lokta is wrong view. Oh, wrong view towards Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, wrong view towards the reality. They're like thinking that karma is all, there is no such thing. There is no such thing as the next life. There is no such thing as it's a wrong view. A wrong view is very strong. In the Vinaya, a monk, for example, a monk loses the monk's vow if he kills a human being, steal, sexual engagement, and lie that he has very high qualities. Any of these four, they lose the vow. But one that is not mentioned usually is the strongest way you can lose vow is wrong view. The moment a monk thinks there's no such thing as karma, there's no next life, there's no rebirth, there's no mind, it's just this body and then you die, it's gone. The moment you think like that, all the vow is gone. It's funny that we don't talk about it, but it is there in the Vinaya. That's the strongest one. That one is really difficult to get back from. As Maitreya wrote, and that I forgot the whole sentence now. Basically, anything else is possible. Like you may have lied, killed, stolen, or whatever. There's still a way of redemption, isn't it? You can still get on the path. But someone whose mind is against Dharma, whose mind is against reality, how can such a person have a liberation, says Maitreya. It's difficult. So of all these 10 is the worst is the mental negative karma. And of these mental negative karma, the worst is the wrong view. Wrong, it's really like that. Look in the society even. Those who kills a lot, it's a bad, terrible, and they will inspire others to kill, but this is still very small. Those who steals, or lies, terrible, but the impact is small. But someone who has a wrong view, that person can impact and change the whole world. So that's the power of wrong view. So that's, anyway, the 10 negative karma. So we abandon this 10 negative karma and accumulate 10 virtues. So that's the opposite of these 10. So not killing, so not lying, like that. So and refraining from alcohol. Refraining from alcohol. This may be difficult for our Western years, our wine drinkers, with little bit, this. I guess, but you have to admit, when you drink alcohol, you loosen up a little bit. You loosen up a little bit. Not really, I guess, depending on how much you drink. If you drink a lot, you might not even be able to get up, forget about dharma practice and all that. If you drink quite a lot, you may start saying all kinds of things. You may even do all kinds of things. There's this, I'm not sure if it's a real story or made up story to scare the monks. There is one sort of supposedly a story where a monk was given a choice of either have sex with somebody or kill a goat or drink alcohol. And it is said that he thought, okay, drinking alcohol is the most harmless one. So he drank the alcohol, killed the goat, and had sex that night. So, I don't know. So, maybe it's made up to scare us and stay in monastery, but you kind of get the logic, right? You get it. It's okay. Basically, you do things you would not dare to do. Especially Asians, we are terrible. We cannot handle alcohol. Asian people, every time we drink, we must fight. There is always fight. So to a point where parties are banned in our Tibetan communities because that's when people drink and fight. I guess it's a bit different here. You don't need alcohol to fight. I'm just teasing you, guys. But yes, I guess it in moderation. I think in moderation, drink a little bit, but not to a point that you cannot really. But like I said, it's the worst thing is mental negative karma, not the physical and the verbal ones. So that's important to remember. And also delight in a wholesome livelihood. Wholesome livelihood, this is also important. Wholesome livelihood, living through some sincerity. Some sincerity. I remember His Holiness Dalai Lama saying, like, even if you must make profit out of others, let's say you are a businessman and you must make profit, or it's not possible. You buy something. If you're like a shopkeeper, or you must buy it and then you sell it. So you must make profit. So he said, while doing it, then have motivation that I really hope that it helps them, and also then check yourself and not try to take too much advantage of others and so on. So right livelihood. Anyway, let's stop here. Don't want to put you to sleep from the first session. All right. Then we will make dedication. So Happy New Year. Please take care of yourselves. Yes. If sometimes, you buy like 3 wine bottles for 2 people, and then you stop yourself after 2 glasses thinking about Nagarjuna, that's not bad. Yeah. All right.